Hey guys, welcome back to Vince-Vell Customs. Today I want to do a review on my Iwata Highline HP B Plus airbrush. Now, this is kind of my workhorse airbrush for detailing. I use this a lot for when I doing a lot of skin tones, face features, and everything. So I really like this airbrush a lot. And as you can see, I have two of them because I actually got one recently as a gift. So it gives you an idea of how it's set up in the case. You basically get your airbrush, which is really nice, really smooth. It's very well made. It doesn't really stick to a lot of paints. You have this option here, so you can have your PSI going to your airbrush at like 30, 40, but you can use this to tone it down in up here. So instead of bending down to your compressor, you can actually do all your pressure here, which is very nice. I like this a lot. It comes with your wrench and your cap. Now, as you can see, I have one here. That's with a quick disconnect. The downside with this airbrush, it doesn't come with a quick disconnect, so you have to actually find one, and they run anywhere from $9 to $12 a pop depending on where you get it. Now, it's a very well-made airbrush. The only downside with them is some of the parts, but there's good sides to the parts. The tip and the needle and everything is very expensive, so if this got damaged up in here, you're probably looking at about $30 or $29 replacement. I forget how much the needles are, but I think the needles are up there around the 20s as well. But the good thing about these is I've never really had to replace the needle until recently, and I've ran this brush, this specific one, with its needle for about 2-3 years before I even needed a needle. But that was my fault because I don't like working with the caps on airbrushes. I like working this way with the tips off. So it works out. One day I just kind of dropped it and hit the ground and I bent the needle. That was my fault. But the needles are actually very strong. Compared to some other company airbrushes where if like you touch this like there, you already bent it. These are actually very strong. So I've actually flicked my finger a couple times where I drew blood and the needle was never bent. So these needles are actually very well made, and they're a stronger metal compared to some of the other companies. Some of the other companies use a very soft metal, and they'll rust on you, and they bend on you, they warp, but these are very well made. So it comes with your cap too. You put your airbrush in there. As you can see, I've really been using this one a lot, but it works out very well. You have your dual action on it when you pull it back, and this right here is when you screw this in, it makes it so you don't push the needle back so far. Or if you unscrew it, you pull it back even further. So that's the cool thing about that. It's a very well made airbrush. It's a very good workhorse. I use it a lot. It's definitely for my skin tone airbrush. It's definitely my skin tone airbrush. I do a lot with my skin tones. Whenever I do an outfit, like say I'm doing a superhero that's in blues and reds, I don't use this brush for doing everything in blue and then detailing it. I do use my other airbrushes that are thicker and get a wider coat of colors, and then I'll go in with this one with the shades. So this is kind of like my shading airbrush and specifically my skin tone airbrush. I like it a lot, I use it a lot, and I was using it a lot for details, but recently I picked up different airbrushes for super fine details, but this is definitely my go-to airbrush for a lot of stuff. So it's definitely worth picking up. I think it runs. Sometimes I think you get it under $200 once in a while on sale. So if you're actually hunting for one, you can actually get it. So what I'll do is I'll set up a little bit of a board so we can do some little tests. Gives you an idea how well it works. But it's definitely worth picking up if you're looking for a nice detailed brush that you don't want to spend a really crazy amount of money. But like I said, the biggest thing about this is working your airflow through here. It's a time saver, and once you get used to working with it, you kind of sit and you use other airbrushes. You're like, oh man, I wish this one had one as well. So let's set up, give you some tests, see if you guys like it, and we'll go from there. Alright, so putting some Garage Kits Ocean Blue in here, and it gives you an idea. So we're at basically 20 psi. So as you're going to hear, and it's going to really spray a lot. And as you can see, it does really nice lines, and then you can spray a lot. So you get a nice little flow. But it's spraying heavy. So what we could do is we start toning it down, and now I got a nice thinner stream. It's not as heavy pressure, and it works out pretty good. And if you tone it down even more, you get a really super fine stream, and it's not a lot of pressure. Or we could go back, and we can get nice and heavy. So that's the cool thing about this brush, and it's very versatile, and it makes life a lot easier. And the good thing about it having a bigger cup is when I do my skin tones, it makes life easier getting the paint, and I can work the whole piece. So if you have a smaller cup and you burn through the paint, you know, you don't really want to do that. But it's a very nice brush. I like it a lot. I use it a lot, and this is kind of like my workhorse. But you get really nice, good details. You know, very thin, super lines on it. It's a really good brush. And like I said, basically having those the cap off, I think you can probably pick up like a 2-prong piece, and you can use the regular cap that comes with it. But I don't like using those on any of my airbrushes. I've found that even though it protects your needle, you still get caked up paint, you know. Like if you're spraying and you're moving, the paint is actually kind of pulling this way while you're pulling this way, and it gets caked up on that piece. So that's what you don't really want to happen, because I've had that happen in the past where I'm spraying and all of a sudden, next thing you know, everything's spurting all over the place. I'm wondering why, and I look, that 2-prong piece is actually caked up. But this is my airbrush for, you know, this is the workhorse for all my detailing, skin tones, detailing shadows. You know, I use it pretty much for, that's pretty much what I use this for, you know. So it's really good. It's definitely worth picking up if you're interested in it. And, you know, thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys like it out. Hopefully it helped you, you know. And we'll be back with some more reviews.